Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries, where we are committed to glorifying God while exposing the devil. Just want to take a few minutes to encourage you to please share your testimonies. The devil, he will try his best to silence you, but God is simply too good to remain silent. While you don't necessarily have to go into details, please take the time to let everyone know what the Lord has done for you. How much you share is a matter of place and time, but at least testify regarding God's love, His mercy, and His grace, His character. There are certain things that the Bible tells, but it doesn't go into a lot of details. But your testimony helps to add depth to what's in the Bible. One of the things I love to hear about is a God-ordained relationship. In part because I know how dangerous it can be if a person ends up in a relationship that the Lord did not ordain, especially if that person ends up with a messenger of Satan. It can derail a person. In 1 Kings 11, 1 through 14, it gives an account of King Solomon. He started off as a faithful servant of the Lord, but because he married some women who pursued other gods, they turned his heart away from the Lord also. That provides a testimony for us to ensure that we're in godly relationships. The devil is a deceiver, and in Genesis 3, he is introduced as a serpent, one who is more subtle than other beasts in the land. And he is still subtle today. And a lot of times he will send a counterfeit into your life, someone seeming as if that is your God-ordained spouse. But after a while, you'll find out that that person clearly is not. And some of the most beautiful stories I've heard are those testimonies about how a person knew that when he or she met someone or they shared a connection, how they knew that it was a godly connection. Those things help. It helps others fall into deception themselves. When you look in the Bible, in Luke 7, Lazarus' sister Mary, she went to Jesus while he was at a Pharisee's house, and she was anointing his feet, kissing his feet, and the Pharisee was calling her a sinner. And I'll pick up the story where Jesus, knowing that the Pharisee was thinking that she was a sinner, he said this, starting in the 40th verse. And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he saith, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me therefore, which of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with her tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is this that forgiveth sins also? And he said to the woman, Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace. I can tell you, my sins are many. The Lord has forgiven me, and I love him even more for that. He could have put an end to my life, sent me straight to hell, and I would have been deserving of it. But he had mercy on me. He washed me clean. He washed me clean. Also, when we look at it, the Samaritan woman at the well in John 4, she had had 5 husbands. We don't know if those 5 husbands, if they were deceased or if those marriages ended in divorce. And she was living with a man who was not her husband. But rather than condemning her, even though Jesus did not condone it, he let her know that he was the Christ, the Messiah. And she ran from the well, left her water pot, became an evangelist by telling the people in her town about the Messiah and that he had come. And as a result of that, people came to know Christ. They came to know his character. In John 8, the lady was caught committing adultery. She should have been stoned to death, her and her cohort. But the Lord, he did not condemn or did not condone her actions, but he did not condemn her, and he told her, go and sin no more. That is a testimony of God's grace. Also in Mark 5, where the man, some people call him the demonic of the Gadarenes. But Jesus cast the devils out of him, washed him clean. And this is what happened in Mark 5, starting verse 18. And when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit, Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, go home to thy friends, and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. And he departed, and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him, and all men did marvel. A part of why I'm here, ministering to people as instructed by the Lord, is because of the love, his mercy and his grace that he showed to me. That I'm here to glorify his name. And I refuse to remain silent. There are times when the devil deceived me. Thought he had me pinned against the ropes. But then the Lord stepped in. And like with Israelites trapped by the Red Sea, with the Egyptians barreling down towards them, the Lord parted the Red Sea, made a way out of no way. And to me, there's no way you should come out of something like that and not glorify the Lord. And that happened in Exodus 14. In Exodus 15, the Israelites, they celebrated. Celebrate the Lord by sharing your testimony with others. It won't always be pretty. And I mentioned about God-ordained relationships. I remember how someone tried to get me into a marriage, claiming that it was of and from the Lord. And there was some heavy deception involved, to include witchcraft. I remember one of the things the Lord did. He had a man come across my path. And I told the man about my situation. And he said, no, that wasn't of God. And he told me how he met his wife. And we don't think about this very often, about when the Lord plans and ordains a relationship, that he also plans for intimacy. Two flesh becoming one, that is symbolic of the Lord ordaining relationships that both people enjoy. And not that one person will be in bondage. Not that one person will be suffering. It's about mutual agreement. And speaking of that man, it was an eye-opener. Because when I read the Bible about the story of Jacob and Leah, kind of felt like I was being condemned to that kind of situation. But thanks to at least one person's testimony, I saw the light. And for a while, I had lost sight of God's love for me. But that was restored, in part, because someone shared his testimony with me. So I implore you, please glorify the Lord by sharing your testimony with others. In some cases, the Lord has simply been too good for you to be so silent.